Since I saw that you liked the video I made on how to make a hard techno, industrial techno kick, but only with native Ableton elements, in this video I bring you the second part. How to make hard techno and industrial techno kicks, but this time using external plugins. Let me introduce myself. If you don't know me yet, I am Aklow, a hard and industrial techno producer, and without further ado, let's begin. Once inside Ableton, we are going to open a MIDI channel, and on this MIDI channel we are going to place the operator instrument. This will be the only native element that we are going to use for now. Now what we are going to do is create the MIDI clip. We are going to open the MIDI clip and we are going to create the notes for our kick. For this case, I'm going to work in C. We're going to select all the notes, we're going to duplicate, and we would already have our notes set. It is highly recommended that you use headphones so you can feel much better what I am doing. We are going to start molding the sound we have and transform it into a kick. The first thing we have to do is turn on all the fixed settings for all the oscillators we have here inside Operator. We are going to work first on oscillator A. We are going to set the frequency, in this case at 60%, that could work. We are going to start by adding a bit more decibels to oscillator B to bring out more of its unique character. Next, we are going to start adding a bit more decibels to oscillator C as well, which helps to layer the sound further and build up the body. And now we are going to do the same with oscillator D to complete this stage of the process. Remember here, just as we saw in the first part of this series, in the video on how to design an industrial and hard techno kick using only native Ableton elements, what we have to start doing now is to begin carefully moving and modulating the frequencies of these oscillators. This step is absolutely crucial because it creates that specific evolving texture that defines the genre, ensuring that the kick drum doesn't sound static but instead feels alive, aggressive and punchy throughout the entire track. For example, I'm going to start by experimenting with oscillator B to see how it shapes the sound. I really like the unique color and the rich harmonic texture it is giving us right there, which adds a lot of depth and character to the overall patch we are building. Now let's shift our focus over to oscillator C to refine its settings, and finally we are going to move on to oscillator D to complete the sound source configuration. At this stage I already have a solid first design of how our kick drum is going to turn out, which gives us a great foundation to build upon. However, to really get that punch and character we are looking for, we now have to move over to the envelope settings to start shaping the sound even more precisely, ensuring it hits exactly the way we want it to in the mix. In this case, we are going to work on the envelope, which would be this whole part we have here, and we are going to work on the oscillator A envelope. Each oscillator has its own envelope, so every time I move the different parameters that the envelope has, the result of the kick will start to vary. Now let's go ahead and move the settings for oscillator A. First of all, let's lower the sustain level down a bit, and then let's also cut the decay time just a little bit more to get the sound exactly where we want it to be. Now we are going to shift our focus over to the oscillator B envelope settings. It is important to pay close attention here because, for example, when I reach over and close the decay parameter, you will notice that the overall punch of the sound becomes significantly drier and much tighter, which really changes the character of the patch we are building. The punch feels much sharper. If I stretch the decay a bit more, it's as if I were giving the punch a bit more distortion. So it is at these points where we begin to define the style we want to work with. Let's go ahead and select oscillator C for this layer. I really like how it sits in the mix right around here. Now moving forward, we are going to shift our focus and start working on oscillator D to complement the sound. Let's also go back and add a little more low-end bass presence here to oscillator A to thicken it up. At this stage, I would already have a solid first approach to the final design of the patch. However, we are not quite done yet. Now we are going to add some more intricate elements to really start giving it that final, polished style we are looking for. Finally, let's turn on the LFO to modulate the signal and give the overall sound a bit more movement and character. The LFO also has its own envelope, so I can also control it from here. For example, I like it quite a bit at that point. Now let's work with the filter. Now let's go with the pitch envelope to give it a different tonality. And with the time, we're going to give it more personality. Here we would already have a first approach of how our kick could turn out. And in this video we are going to use effects that don't come with Ableton Live. Hey, but wait a moment. Before continuing with the video, remember that if you are enjoying this content and the information you are seeing is useful, remember to subscribe to this channel. Here you will find music production tutorials that will most likely save your life. And don't forget to leave a like, that helps me a ton. Now let's continue. The first plugin we are going to use is called Isotope Trash. We have two versions. We have the normal Isotope Trash like version 1 and Isotope Trash 2. We are going to add version 1 first, the normal trash, and this particular effect is going to help us give more personality to our kick. We are going to go through changing the different presets so you can hear everything that can change. As you can notice, the kick changes its color a lot. Here we would have to choose which preset best suits what we want to do. In my case, I like this one quite a bit. Now let's compare. This is how it sounded without the trash. Now this is how it sounds with the trash. Notice that the change is quite evident, and it also adds characteristics that are more grounded in the genre I want to work on and build in this case. That would be working with Isotope Trash 1. Isotope Trash 2, the second version, also comes with some very interesting presets that can help us give more personality to our kick. I'm going to show you some presets that Isotope Trash 2 has, so you can notice how the kick evolves and changes. So take a moment to notice how the kick drum also changes its main color right now, though it really stands out. If I were to combine both, it would sound something like this, more or less. If I change the order, the presentation will also change. But the most interesting thing of all is that I can also go back to Operator and change some parameters within the design, but while listening to it together with the plugin. In other words, with the effect already applied, I can also go back to the design and adjust a few things, but with the effect already in place. For example, if I were to grab oscillator A, I could play a bit with the envelope and see what other style it might show me, and maybe I might like it and leave it that way. For example, for lovers of hard industrial, here we have just created a kick that is very commonly heard within this subgenre of hard techno. 2000 years later. After adjusting some parameters of the operator and continuing to test, I have finally arrived at a result that I liked. The kick sounds like this without the effects. This is how it would sound with Isotope Trash version 1, and with Isotope Trash 2, it will give it a more interesting color. In this case, I am combining both effects, Isotope Trash 1 and Isotope Trash 2, but you could easily work with just version 1 or version 2, there is no problem at all. In this instance, I just wanted to experiment with both at the same time. Another effect that can also help us quite a bit to give it more character and strength would be Cymatic's Diablo, which is this plugin we have here. Here we can give the kick a little more punch, more body, more saturation, a bit more color. It really depends on what we ultimately want to convey with our kick. In my case, I'm going to adjust the punch and body a bit, mainly. A little more body. Let's go ahead and turn up the kick drum a little bit. We can also choose to send the kick completely to mono by setting the width control all the way to the left. Or alternatively, we can give it significantly more stereo width by simply sending that same control over to the right. In my case, I'm going to center it much more. That is, I'm going to leave it completely monophonic. Isotope Trash and Cymatics Diablo are crucial for giving our kick the final character we want. From here on out, it's also a matter of experimenting. You can also add some native effects if you want to give it a more unique style. In this video, I mainly showed you the basics of how to create that kick with a color much more grounded in these heavy sounds, like industrial techno, borchka, hard industrial, and even hardstyle. It is with those effects that we can get closer to that type of kick. Finally, let's resample the result we have here. We are going to create an audio track, we are going to go to HEXANE operator, we are going to hit the record button on the channel, and we are going to start recording the kick we have here. Since I added an LFO within the sound design, it is very likely that these kicks I just recorded will come out with a little bit of variation, meaning not all the kicks will sound the same. For example, visually, we can see that this transient here, this whole part here, is different from this one. So the sensations will change directly. Notice the following. I'm going to loop this part, let's hit play, and now let's listen to this part. The punch is more pronounced in this first one, and in the second one, it's a bit softer. So for the example, we're just going to keep the first hit. So I select the whole space, cut it, delete the rest of the elements, and basically I would now have the resampling of what would be the kick I just designed in Operator. Let's duplicate it here, let's listen to it. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe to this channel, leave a like and leave me a comment. Tell me what you would like to learn in the next video, so I will keep it in mind and upload the content as soon as possible. Remember to also follow me on my social media so that every time I upload a new video, you find out instantly. I also invite you to listen to my music on digital platforms. Thank you very much for watching the video until the end, and see you in the next one. And remember that drinking water is very good. With that said, I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.